Konnichiwa, bitches. Welcome to the Week 3 2018 edition of the Ultimate Man's League podcast. I'm your commissioner, Doug Gardner, joined as always by Connor Hemian. Connor, how are you?
I'm doing all right
Connor, why aren't you fantastic?
because I know what you're going to do to me, Doug. I know what you're going
Uh,
to do.
I don't know what you're talking about. I think you're being just a little bit sensitive right now. But guys, we got a great show to you. I got a little segment for Connor here. Talk a little Browns, Jets, how the rookie quarterbacks looked. Then we'll get into some power rankings, and then preview your Week 3 games to get you guys out of here for your Friday night festivities. So I will go ahead and turn on the old screen share. All right, here we go. The scoreboard from last week. We're not going to go ahead and review the games from last week, but there is one I just kind of want to make quick mention of before we get too far into the rest of the podcast. Connor, do you have any idea what game that might be?
Oh, I have a guess, Doug. Why don't you go ahead and just get it over with?
Connor, 156.3. Tim, 164.5. What happened?
Well, the Cardinals, the coaching staff apparently is run by preschoolers that don't understand that David Johnson's a fantastic pass catching back. Uh, they apparently just didn't. They just shredded and burned whatever notes Bruce Arian left after he retired, and they just choose to not see anything of value in the only two good pieces of their offense. And Sam Bradford's still the starting quarterback. Uh, Cleveland corrected that issue this Thursday night game. I'm hoping the Cardinals follow suit, and I'm hoping they at least try a little harder. When Larry Fitzgerald has to kind of like fake a hammy a little bit. I mean, come on, he's clearly faking it a little bit. Then you know that he's like, I don't want to be a part of this right now, and that's not good. It was against the Rams. It's probably the worst game the Cardinals will have this season. I'm hoping.
Yeah, I hope so.
Otherwise, I may lose again. But yeah, the loss it's just a part of the way the die rolls sometimes. And on top of that, my Texans D really let me down. Having Blaine Gabbert start and to get tricked on a bullshit, special teams play for a
Safety to
touchdown.
safety fake punt.
Yeah, like it's a real letdown. And honestly, that's a big key of also why your brother won that Bears pickup. I know we joked the first week, Khalil Mack made a difference, but they're playing Green Bay. It doesn't matter this week because they played Seattle and they got their points, 19 there. So yeah, and when your kicker scores 12 as well, it's going to be a done deal. It doesn't matter that his running backs put up a poor performance. And Matthew Stafford was right back in action with 24 points. I just feel sick. I don't want to keep talking about it, Doug.
See, the only thing, Connor, is that I'm wondering if there was a scoring error or something like that, because we all know you were going to go undefeated, and I'm just a little confused about how you could lose. You don't want to give credit to Tim for anything other than the Bears defense?
Oh,
Did they
oh,
kick?
don't make me sound like a dick. I mean, he did have. I said about Stafford having a great game. Having Kenny Galladay shine was really great. Using Nelson Aguilar against me while I had probably the only good thing about Nick Foles was that Aguilar got to catch the ball from him, so he really benefited off of that. There were some good strategic moves. He definitely deserved the win. I'm not taking anything away from him there. He played the better Baltimore tight end. He beat me on that front. It was little bit of a chess match, and your brother came away the win this week. It's just part of the game.
That sure
Congratulations
is.
to him.
It sure is. Nice work there, Tim, with the Baltimore tight ends and all that. Last night, if you didn't catch the game, guys, you missed. Wasn't the greatest football, but
It
you
was
missed.
it was a snoozer.
Yeah, but the second half was great. Just the energy in the building and everything. Obviously, everybody's talking about Baker Mayfield. Do you think the Browns finally have solved that puzzle?
I mean, they're being run by Hugh Jackson, so you take it with a grain of salt. But yes, I think he looked very good. It's still a small sampling, I mean, he hasn't even played a full game yet. We'll see, how he compares when he plays some of the other teams in the division. Let's see how he goes in the cold weather against a Baltimore team or, a Cincinnati matchup. We may see some different shades to his game, but for right now, he looked like he was totally ready to lead an NFL roster. Honestly, out of the guys that were drafted, he was one of the more ready guys, in my opinion. Sam Darnold, clearly in this game especially, you kind of saw he's still a development. Uh, Whereas I think once you throw this piece out for the Browns, I think it just really clicked. And I think they have the weapons now. Why not just go with it?
Yeah, and real quick on the Jets, I don't think any Jets fans or Sam Darnold fantasy owners need to be worried about him too much. I mean, when you start a 21-year-old quarterback, this is part of what you're signing up for.
That's why I said development.
Yeah, he's going to have
quarterback to ever start.
And the Browns' defense, by the way, is legit. So it's not like
that's the one good thing for me this week so far. My 13 points should have been a lot higher, but I at least have the Browns D on my side right now.
Yeah, the thing that kind of stood out for me in this game, this is the first time I've seen the Jets really this season. Quincy Enunwa can play.
Oh,
that guy is like he's like built like a tank. That's the kind of guy our Cowboys could use there, Connor.
Say that again.
That's the kind of guy our Cowboys could use.
Oh yeah, anybody who could catch the ball consistently would be pretty fantastic. When you have Tavon Austin leading the offense, not to take away from Tavon Austin, but that's a little troublesome. I think what's Galloway's got, or I'm not. Gallup's got like what, 2 catches this season, maybe. I know he had only 1 last game.
Yeah, he's nothing.
And Hearns is just not there either. It's a little, I don't know. Yeah, we could definitely use that.
But now for the reason you're all here.
Wait. Before we get to that, though, one last thing on the Thursday night game.
Sure.
I think with the change to Baker Mayfield, a lot of the weapons are significantly raised. We saw immediately more Njoku. Obviously, only 2 catches, but it's only 2 catches that he got in this whole game. And on top of that, you had Landry looking completely steady. I think the people that own Cleveland players should be excited about this switch. Your dad's the only disappointed person in the group, I think.
No, that's why he drafted Ryan Tannehill, right? So he knew this was coming. All right, so you see there last week's power rankings, 1 through 14, and we're going to go ahead and update them to this week. So, Connor, who is coming in at the number 14 spot?
I hope I don't just embarrass myself here, but if I were to lose this week, it'd be pretty bad because I'm going to put the Pain Train back down at 14.
Ooh, no movement from the Pain Train.
Yes, he's got Giovanni Bernard into the starter position, but if you look at his roster right now, he's not even playing a wide receiver yet, which is already, I don't know what happened there. He picked up Terrell Pryor. He's got a free bench spot. Didn't play Pryor. I don't know if that's something maybe he forgot to put him in, if that's the guy he wanted. But either way, he's still got another free bench spot there. Those are huge mistakes. He's still got a Pittsburgh running back that's completely irrelevant. I guess he should plug in. Here I am telling him what to do without facing him. But he should plug in Ted Ginn because it's the only option, I guess. So I'm not really helping him at all. But
yeah, he's got two.
When that kind of madness is happening, I am very worried about his standing. And with he's got 2 reasons why he can win a game, and that's Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers is no sure thing right now. Yes, I think he'll play through it for the most part. Could something happen? Absolutely. And he's not going to play up to the potential he can. And if there's any opportunity where they can kind of give him a rest, you already kind of saw that he only went from 24 to 16. In Minnesota, it was much more of a shootout than Chicago's game was. So I feel like, yes, he's still Aaron Rodgers. He's still going to put up points, but to lose just that little bit of edge, just the slightest thing, and to have the rest of the roster that you have, it's not good enough. And he's done nothing to improve it.
Yeah, he's got 2 roster spots because that receiver spot.
Yeah.
So just not good. You gotta be more diligent there, Alex, or you're going to keep finding yourself down at the bottom of Connor's power rankings. Connor, who comes at number 13?
At number 13, I've got to give it to a very bizarre situation right now, and that's with the White Sharks. Um,
You gonna talk about the four quarterback thing?
yeah, I'm going to talk about the four quarterback thing. Right now, yeah, it's just it's a mess. Um, I don't know that he was the guy to pick up Ryan Fitzpatrick. He bragged about getting the 30 points on Messenger, but it was like the one position that he didn't need. He literally skipped the waiver period last week on Thursday, did nothing, and then 2 days later picked up Ryan Fitzpatrick out of all the potential things to pick up, and now he's left with this debacle where he's got four quarterbacks that are of some significant value at this point. Honestly, with Ryan Fitzpatrick continuing to look very hot um, on the field, um, but then just have the holes that you have at every other position. He should have been a guy that last week he should have been going for Philip Lindsay. I think he probably I don't know exactly where he was on the ranking, but he should have been able to pull again a guy like that with his week one point total. Especially with I don't think Alex picked up a running back from that last waiver claim either. So he could have easily had Philip Lindsay, and that would have been a more significant increase to his team because either way he could have played
Well, if you think
Andrew
about
Luck and put somebody in the OP. He didn't need, and he still lost too. You know, I mean, I guess you can't really throw it up to when you win, but when you have now he's got this debacle where Carson Wentz is ready to play, and he's got him sitting in the IR. He can't pick up anyone else to make any kind of movement. He's got Doug Baldwin, who's out again. This is just a complete mess, and it really affects how you have success in this league.
this
This
is one of
entire
those
league
things.
that's
This is
just
what
gone.
like if you're wondering how you walk if I needed a quarterback in this league right now, Adam would be in real trouble right now. So but Adam, you gotta do something, man. You gotta trade one of these quarterbacks, Ryan Fitzpatrick, to whoever wants him.
And
You're
I think Mariota's the wrong choice on throwing him out there. He's the most recent injured. He's shown already in week one that it looks like a mess. I mean, I think Miami's defense better than people are giving them credit for, but yes, he's only put up 1.6 points this season. Nobody's going to bite on that right away. People
yeah,
are going to bite on Ryan Fitzpatrick putting up 42 and 30. You've
or
got to be
Andrew Luck looking
completely
nice.
straight, yeah, or Andrew Luck who's in revival mode, or even the hype around Carson Wentz being in probably the best offense in the league according to some people, or the best team at least. All of those things sell more. Or the fact that Ryan Fitzpatrick's not a keeper for you, so you can deal that and know that you're going to get your other guys back next season.
It's really hard to be in a position like this because you can't do anything, and whoever you're talking to about a trade knows that, and
Yeah,
it's
half the league's just waiting for you to drop one right now. That's the
yeah,
other unfortunate thing, and that's probably what's going to happen at this point.
yeah. And then whoever's got the number one waiver claim next week is going to be in a good spot.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and that could be a thing for Adam if Adam thinks he's going to lose. It's like, okay, I can drop this guy, and then I'll have the first waiver claim, so I can just get him back. But that's not a dangerous game to play. Anyway, enough on number 13. Who you got number 12?
Number 12, it's a sad day, but I'm still going with D's Nates. I
But
know he's 1-1, but the point total is just not there for him. There's people that have significantly more points than him at this point. There is a couple 0-2 teams that I like more. I will say he's been playing the waiver wire like a real son of a bitch, and he's added some great value. He's got Philip Lindsay. He's not one of those guys I named after him. He actually took that running back. He was smart enough to know Connor drafted Ito Smith, so obviously he's got potential. So he took Ito Smith and got 6 points from him last week. He picked up John Brown this week, a great ad. He's got running back depth, whether it's ready now, not so much, but it has potential in the future. He does have a free bench spot. I think it's maybe just because Dalvin Cook's news just
yeah,
broke.
yeah,
Uh,
I don't think he's added anyone yet. Yeah.
but I'm sure he'll be on that, and that's why, although he's got low point totals, he did come up away with a win, and that's because of what he's doing with his roster every week.
Mhm.
Take note, 0-2 teams. I just think there's a couple teams that are 0-2 that have a little bit more on their bench to start with. I think in a week or two, I think I'm going to have Nate climb. Slowly but surely, he's going to climb up the boards. He just needs to put up a bit more points.
Just
And
real and just real quick on this team though. You look here and you see the plan that goes into it, right? You have Latavius Murray. He made a point to draft as a handcuff to Dalvin Cook. Look, Dalvin Cook is injured now, and now he's got a stud running back in there. It's like Cook's in there basically.
absolutely, and it's
But
against Buffalo, so he's gonna have a great game.
absolutely touchdowns, I would say. But working the waiver wire, Philip Lindsay, Ito Smith, John Brown, Ryan Griffin, and I'm assuming his kicker and defense. But those guys are all waiver pickups. So and they've all been pretty good for him. So it's just something to remember. If you want to improve your team, you have to put in. I don't even call it work. It's not work. It's just like you got to put in like 1% effort. Who's at number 11?
Number 11. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. I've got the long bushes here at number
Oh
11.
my!
0-2 is not a good place to be, and although I love a lot on this team, it's just not coming together quick enough.
Lots of injuries too.
Yeah, and also lots of injuries, which he should put somebody on the IR right now. Pat, get on that. Marlon Mack, they should have sat him longer. Apparently, he's already out again. I think they would have benefited from having him skip a couple weeks because clearly he's re-injured his hamstring, and now he's a toe or a foot injury as well. It's a mess. Devontae Freeman, once he gets over that knee, will significantly improve his team. But I'm going off of this week's power rankings, and I'm seeing Royce Freeman, Tony Michel, and Marcus Murphy starting. And Jamison Crowder has just not really been what he was supposed to be this year. He's supposed to be a PPR stud. He hasn't shown it yet. Alex Smith and him haven't connected. That said, he still has Phillip Rivers. He still has Alex Smith. He's got Travis Kelce, who put up a monster game last week. He's got Jarvis Landry, a PPR stud. He's got pieces that matter enough that he's still sticking around. He just needs to really sort out the mess of the injuries and the young players. I mean, Tony Michel could be a huge benefit to him later in the season, but it's going to take time.
Yeah, absolutely. And it didn't help that he ran into the buzzsaw that was the Murder Muppets last week.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
Who cracks the top 10?
Cracking the top 10 is unfortunately going to be Man Bear Pig. I've dropped him significantly.
Whoa.
Yeah.
From 3 all the way down to 10. So were you just totally wrong last week, or what's the scoop here?
I think I hopped on the bus and it ran out of gas before we left the parking lot.
Oh.
Yeah, it fell apart quick. He had an atrocious game. All of a sudden, he's scoring the second most fantasy points, and now he's barely. I think he maybe second last in fantasy points this week, and there's just a whole lot of question marks now, and a whole lot of mess. Baltimore appears to be a lot worse after that first Buffalo game. I think we got a little jazzed up about that, and Joe Flacco has kind of shown that he's still Joe Flacco. I mean, he still put up decent numbers, but I just see it declining more and more as we go along the season. Marshawn Lynch, although he is a powerhouse back and he's exactly what Oakland wants, he's old, and I just see him starting to fall apart. Golden Tate looks like he may be the third best wide receiver on his team this season.
Mm-hmm.
He's still got Quincy Enunwa, Kenny Stills. I mean, he's got pieces. Things could happen. I could jump him up next week. He's 1-1. He's right in the realm of possibility of making improvements. But that's where he falls to 10 for me. Because what did he do this waiver claim? He drops Duke Johnson for Jaquiz Rodgers. And now you're seeing a change in quarterback. Duke Johnson's got double the points that he's gotten this season, albeit only 6 points. But it's clearly on the up and up. He just gave away significant talent to get a guy who's the bum version of Duke Johnson on a team that's not even going to be using him because they're already talking about bringing finally their mistake of a first pick at running back this year, and I just I can't I've seen him do a couple moves now like this, and it makes me worried. I feel like he still doesn't understand how to pick the right kind of waiver claims, and it's definitely affecting his team.
Yeah, this team looks like this running back group looks great with Duke Johnson on it. Honestly, like as like your fifth running back, because you know you have Eckler who's playing really well. Like as your fifth
Yeah.
running back, like just Jaquiz Rogers is a no upside. It's just a bad move, AJ. I'm sorry. I appreciate you helping me out with that sneaker thing last night, but really, and also get Jack Doyle out of your lineup. What are you doing? But this is like this is the type of thing that bad teams do, Connor.
Yeah, and I had hope in him, and he did last season. I think, especially, he had some good waiver claims. I hope he proves me wrong, and he starts doing that.
Yeah,
Because I do think his team had potential that first week. I didn't put him up at 3 for no reason.
that's right.
Yeah.
All
Damn
right.
it, hey.
Who's first one in single digits?
First one in single digits. It's gonna be. This is probably the toughest call, and it's between two of your siblings, or a sibling and a father. Uh, I'm gonna put. I'm still thinking about it right now. Even I'm gonna put the Petersburg Penguins here at 9.
Up two
No,
spots.
I know I'm one to talk right now after he just beat me, but
Yeah, up two spots from last week, so you're starting to feel this team a little bit more. The Josh Gordon trade to New England obviously helps Carlos Hyde with a great game last night. Uh, at number 9, is it all the injuries or what?
I think it's the management of the team. It's the new destination for Josh Gordon. It's the fact that he beat me without Leonard Fournette, which
Yeah,
is disappointing. I think he's kind of showing he's doing a little bit of a Carlo impression with his wide receivers, but he's got quarterbacks to back it up too, and I think he's onto something. I don't think
he's
he's
got
going to
running
be.
backs too.
He's got Leonard Fournette, and Carlos Hyde put up a good showing. I'm not sure that his running backs are really that great just yet. That's why I say I think it's still a work in progress. But the way he's running his team, the way that he addressed things this offseason at first, I thought it was just kind of a killed year. But I see some potential here that, you know, in the coming seasons, I think he could pull off a Carlo, and I think he could really almost improve on what Carlo's established game plan was, and I think he'd do it better than Carlo even.
You know what's really crazy about this whole thing though is that this team is kind of it's on an upward trend too, right?
Mm-hmm.
This team, if it wins the first pick tournament,
Oh yeah.
and like that team's a real problem next year. Like with you can trade Fournette for whatever, draft whoever the best rookie running back is, or just pick at the end of the first round or whatever. Like that team is a real issue if it wins the first pick tournament. So maybe let's not let him, guys. So I'm assuming you're going to have Rival College
Oh
Rampage at
damn,
number 8.
putting a hit on your brother already. Damn, Doug. That's
Yeah, right.
terrible.
So, somebody kill him.
All right, so with number 8, right?
That'd be the Rampage, I assume.
Number 8 is going to be the Rampage. Still 0-2, really making me look bad, Doug Senior. You got to get the wins here. I think he's either third or fourth in scoring still. He's putting up points. He's just having a very unfortunate schedule so far. And Joe put up a big time game against him. Ooh, I just lost my voice. Hold on.
But this is really a team though that's really racked by injuries. Jay Ajayi, Joe Mixon is out. Tyrod Taylor just lost his job. I wouldn't put it past Hugh Jackson to put him back in the game, but this team is just not trending in the right direction. You got Wendell Smallwood starting this week at running back. It's just not a great situation right now.
It's not, but I guess I'm holding a bit of your dad's kind of suave moves from the past, and I'm just waiting for him to do that. And I still think he has components to this roster that can seriously change the direction of his team. And I'm not counting him out yet. I think, he's going to be one of the guys, especially if he goes 0-3, he's really going to start to fall in my ranking. But I still have hope in what he can pull off.
And drop Allen Hurns. I don't know why you're carrying Allen Hurns right now. But that's number 8. Number 7.
Number 7. Whoa, who would have thought the Broadway Dros are climbing the board?
Up 3 spots from last week. When he was at number 10, the Broadway Joes, after a big win over the Rampage last week, what puts Joe, in your opinion, just outside the playoffs?
To me, it's the fact that if he can get Todd Gurley and Deshaun Watson on the same page, he's putting up points that week, And with Will Fuller coming back and looking absolutely fantastic, he looks just like he did last season. A lot of people thought, well, is he going to really do the same thing he did? He did better than what he did last season, in my opinion. He put up 8 receptions, something that he didn't do very often last season. It was pretty much, I caught a touchdown twice in a game, and that was it. In this second game, he's putting up 8 receptions for 113 yards and a touchdown. That's fantastic. That's it's kind of the wide receiver that Will Fuller should have been to make you feel good about your situation. He's clearly getting targeted often. He's clearly a huge part of this offense, and it's just a huge boost to Watson, who is also owned by Joe. He's also played the waiver wire perfectly. He's got Deshaun Jackson, who had another monster game. I don't know if that'll last all season, but he's had a monster game. His tight ends, especially with Eric Ebron, now in a situation where he doesn't have to deal with Doyle this week. He's probably going to put up a much better game. He's got Kyle Rudolph to share that. He picked up Brandon Marshall, another Seattle wide receiver. They're minuscule pickups, but for a certain team in a certain week, that can be the difference between a winner or a loss. He's picking up guys that are making headway. He now gets to start Baker Mayfield next week and finally get that disastrous Sam Bradford situation out the window. This team's on the up.
Absolutely. And Joe, I'm not sure about the Brandon Marshall at the OP for what that's worth. But definitely things are looking good down there on Broadway. I saw an interesting stat about Watson and Fuller. When Watson is targeting Will Fuller, he has a passer rating of 128. So, maybe keep throwing to that guy. So the top 6, apparently this is the playoff teams. Who you got at number 6?
At number 6, I have good old Queef Wellington.
Ooh, UML champion Queef Wellington, down 2 spots. And now you're saying he's going to barely make the playoffs. You're basically saying that he's bad and he should feel bad. What's going on with Carlos' team right now?
Those are your words. I mean, LaShawn McCoy, I don't even know what to say right now. That's a huge mess. He's got injured ribs on top of whatever the hell his mess is. His girlfriend's putting out $10,000 for information. It's I don't even know what the hell's going on. Either way, to top that off, he's got Theo Riddick, who's just not making the right presence to make up for McCoy. And to have, Jameson Winston on your bench, who may not even be the starting quarterback of the future for Tampa Bay this season. He's got Ty Montgomery, who's just kind of barely straggling along. He's still got Doug Martin. What I'm trying to bring out is that he doesn't have running backs. And his wide receivers are fantastic, but the reason he lost this week is because his wide receivers didn't do their job. Odell Beckham put up 9 fantasy points. Julio Jones with 11.
Well, Odell Beckham putting up 9
fantasy great.
points.
What's that?
Odell Beckham putting up 9 fantasy points is obviously because #boys at work.
Well, of course. And then you have Keenan Allen with 12. These are weeks that are going to happen.
True.
It's just what happens. And Carlo doesn't have anything to back that up. He doesn't have the quarterbacks. He doesn't have the running backs. He's got the tight end.
He does.
Zach Ertz, he put up 20. But I'm sorry, but your receiving options can't win you every game, and they're certainly not going to win you 3/4 of those games potentially. And for that, he's 6. He's a playoff push team right now to me. He needs to find that running back solution, whether through trade or playing the waiver wire the right way. Because with the quarterback situation he has, you can't afford to have bad running backs on top of that.
Yeah, true that. Who cracked top five?
At number 5, Doug, it's you.
Number five, the Murder Muppets, up 2 spots from last week. What are you digging about this team to be moving them up?
Uh, Kansas City. That's the absolute main reason.
That's the analysis. Just
That's
Kansas City.
pretty much the analysis. Um, yeah, I mean, OJ Howard seems to be shining certain weeks. He did it for you this past week. Um, Maybe an effect of Philly's defense. We'll see how that factors in Pittsburgh. But you've got Tyreek Hill, you've got Patrick Mahomes. That's pretty much like half of your total points, or probably more. Um, Tennessee is a mess. Kareem Hunt isn't so necessary. I mean, he still has 15 points this week, but he just doesn't really seem to be. If you have Patrick Mahomes doing his thing, Kareem Hunt kind of takes a hit at the same time, Dougie. So, and with Alex Collins there, with Deion Lewis and Derrick Henry a mess, with Rashad Penny on Seattle's offense, there's some definite holes. And then you have Chris Hogan, probably some pretty devastating news after that great game for him in week 2, is that he's going to have to compete with Josh Gordon now on the outside, and I think that's definitely going to take a hit to your points. And Andy Dalton had a great game. What I'm saying is you've got a lot of pieces that are going to get you wins. And I think you're definitely a playoff team. It's just if Kansas City starts to falter whatsoever, what happens? Are you still going to win all those games, or are you really going to start to fall apart? So you're one of my hot now guys, but we'll see in a couple weeks, Doug. Don't
Yeah.
want to make you feel too good jumping up this 5.
Yeah, you could make the argument on Chris Hogan that Gordon will pull coverage away from him, but Edelman's going to be back. I think it's after next week, and then I think Chris Hogan's going to be relegated to bench duty.
Yeah, yeah.
After that. Yeah, Mike Williams is a good football player, though. Let's mention that.
Well, why are you starting them, Doug?
I don't know. I don't know. They're playing the Rams, a game that Joe and I are going to actually.
Ooh.
Yeah, Battle for LA, man. Once every 4 years. It's a good one to go to. All right. Let's go back here. The top 4 teams.
Top 4. Number 4 is going to be Steve with Suck My Dick.
Up 4 spots, your biggest riser of the week. What are you liking about Mr. Toilet Seat himself, Steve Suck My Ditka Walker?
This team did what it was supposed to do. I said last week, this is a team that should be embarrassed to put up the points it did. He lost. He had a miserable week. He scored like 120 or something like that. It was a miserable week. And what I said was
106.
Yeah, 106.
Oh, sorry, 124.
It was miserable. And I said this team should be putting up more points. So what did he do week 2? They put up 12. There you go. Right there, that's what his team should be. Tone it down a little, Steve. I don't like that many points, but it's the right direction. It's what his team should have been closer to. I think Matt Breda kind of helped get it over the 200 mark, but I think I honestly think getting 180 is something that this team is capable of doing on at least a quarter of the weeks. Christian McCaffrey is going to get you those easy points with the insane receptions. He had 27 this week. His team just was firing on all cylinders. But all these players are capable of what it's doing. I think what still hurts him is Mitch Trubisky. Doesn't look too great. He kind of looks like a bum. No offense. But he is scoring points for the team.
He looks like a bum. No offense.
But I mean, another thing, he picked up Naeem Hines. He's making waiver claims that matter. I think Robbie Anderson, after this week, you want to reconsider him. He's not looking so hot. Yeah. But and that's not, he can't drop him right now. But there's a lot of players on this roster that are going to fuel the fire, and they're going to be rolling this season, I think. Steve is definitely a playoff team. Yeah. No question.
How long can he hang on to Cameron Brate? The guy has 0 targets through 2 games. Fitzpatrick just doesn't throw to him.
I think what's going to come down to, and I wouldn't hate that he kept him this long. I do think I'd probably drop him at this point. But if there is a chance that Winston gets his job back, he may just be a great fan, and maybe he will have some kind of influence later. But at the tight end position, it's kind of not really worth holding on to. Actually, something that I do think he made a mistake of was I don't think he should have dropped Gesicki just yet. I think he's a guy that could come into it later, and I think Tyler Higbee is kind of like the same player right now, only he's not the only guy. I mean, I know Derby's there, but I don't really consider Derby on the same level of what Higbee's going through. So I think he made a mistake dropping that tight end there, especially with Cameron Brate there. I think he should have stuck with Gesicki. But that's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean Cameron Brate, we'll see. He could have dropped. I mean, splitting hairs. I don't get. Tyler Higbee's not the answer. That's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah,
The top three. I think we have a new member in this top three.
we do, and he's going to be mentioned right now. It's the Compton Cookie Snatchers.
Up 2 spots from number 5 to number 3. Has Ray arrived?
Oh, he's arrived. I think he's third in scoring, if I'm not wrong.
I can look it up.
He's got James Conner. Yeah, who is it?
Yeah, he's third in scoring.
Yep. He's got James Conner. It's working. He had a bit of a downfall this last week, but I think it was kind of game script more than anything else.
He's still got 19 points.
And yeah, he's still got 19. But I mean, he's got Tevin Coleman in a backfield all to himself, just long enough for Ingram to come back. It's almost like a dream come true for him right now. Everything's just falling into place. Michael Thomas looks like he's pushing to be the best wide receiver in the league right now. I don't know that he is, but he's really making a case for himself. He is number 1 in fantasy right now, but I wouldn't say that he's the best just yet. But I think he's definitely making a case for it. And
28 catches in 2 games.
Yeah, I mean he's putting up ridiculous numbers. Will it stay when Ingram's back? But that's the thing. He can take the hit on Michael Thomas having a bit less pass catches when Ingram's back because he's going to get that points in another way. That's why owning certain teams' offenses is a great scheme, and he's one who's proven that it affects. He's got Minnesota guys, he's got Atlanta guys, he's got Pittsburgh guys, he's got New Orleans guys. Sometimes that's a recipe for success. Just going for these certain offenses, and his team is firing away. I think he's got some great pieces, and he's going to make a run. He's got depth too. Yeah, this team's great.
Yeah, this team's the real deal. And Ray, see, this is what happens. And you remember Ray for years was one of the worst teams in the league, and then he started actually putting in some work, and now he's third.
Captain,
Yeah, this Will Dissly guy has caught touchdowns in each of his first 2 games. We'll see if that continues, but there's no one else on the Seahawks offense really right now with Doug Baldwin out. We'll see. Hey. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure about Christian Kirk right now. It looks like he's a good player, but that offense is just, I'm not sure I want like the number 3 passing option on that offense right now on my
Christian
team.
Kirk, when the quarterback change happens, Christian Kirk's going to benefit the most, in my opinion.
Okay, cool. Philip Dorsett, he'll still have his games. The Gordon thing hurts him too as well. I mean, in a week or two, whenever it is that Ingram comes back, Ray's going to have Chris Carson, who is his 2nd-round pick, as like his 5th running back. That's how deep this team is. This is just a well-run operation right now, and it's a lot of young talent here too. This is a team that's going to be a real problem, I think, going forward.
Absolutely.
All right, Connor, 1 and 2.
Number 2 is me.
Ooh, down 1 spot to number 2. Why did you lower yourself, Connor?
I'm my toughest critic. Obviously, I should still be number 1, but
I should be first.
I mean, does the loss hurt? Yes. Do I think my team is still the best team? Yes. I just look at my roster and I see 5 or 6 guys that can put up 30 or more points on any given week. And I don't know that there's a lot of teams that can say that. So I think I'm right there in the thick of it. I have the bench. If I play the right pieces, it would help. Sam Darnold did nothing for me this week. But if I play the right pieces, then I don't see any reason why I'm not a front runner this season. As long as I don't have injuries plague me like last season. I already lost Greg Olson, but we'll see what happens. I think I'm right there.
All right. So you got Double Dog Hemian himself at number one.
For now, for now.
Despite no Lev Bell, and it doesn't look like he's showing up anytime soon.
Well, and it doesn't appear that he's going to have much trouble anytime soon. You know, he's putting up 160, 170 consistently. That's another thing about these top 5 or 6 teams. I'm still the highest scorer through 2 weeks, even with my loss. My dad is second. That shows consistency. That's the other aspect of fantasy that people don't really notice too much. People don't seem to take that into account as much as they should. A lot of times, the consistent teams are the ones that don't falter in the playoffs. And I think that my dad's team is one of those rock steady teams that, yes, he'll lose games, but for the majority of games, he's going to make a presence. He's going to score high points. He's got multiple options to go with. Somebody's going to start for him, and somebody's going to put up something, and he's going to come away with wins. That's where a team like Steve, although I think he's in the right direction, his first game was atrocious, 106 points. I'm not ready to give him validity for putting over 200 points to make him, the superstar of the league, because it's all about consistency to me.
Yeah, the another this is another case of invest in good offenses. You just look at it. You got you know New Orleans, Philly, New England, Pittsburgh, Indianapolis, Atlanta. There's a lot of great things. A lot of waiver wire activity. Virgil Green apparently is a stud at tight end. Um, so no, I mean this is a team, and if Lev Bell comes back, it's just I mean, the way I look at it, basically, this is a much more beatable team without Lev Bell in there, obviously. But dude is a great player, and this team is just it's a well run operation. Dak Prescott is not gonna.
I mean, you even look at the defense kicker. They're two options that seem to have success right now. The Cowboys' defense appears to be substantially better and a real fantasy option. And Brandon McManus is like the fourth kicker. Every little detail is taken into account. A lot of teams don't do that.
Nice. All right, let's get into some quick week 3 pick'em. Let's start with Suck My Dicka versus Longbushes. This is one Pat's got to have. What's your analysis?
It's one he's got to have, and I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately. It was a good showing by Landry. I think he's more in it than he was now.
Those running backs are a killer.
He needs Sony Michel to dominate against Detroit, which could happen.
Yeah, Detroit's not very good.
I will say with Minnesota's defense, LaShawn McCoy is unable to go. Marcus Murphy appears to be more the pass-catching back, and I think against Minnesota that would be the better option opposed to Ivory.
Woof.
So that wasn't a terrible pickup, but I'm picking at some rough stuff here. But I mean, Alex Smith's gonna have to be in a shootout with Green Bay. That's great for him and great for Travis Kelce. Or I'm sorry, I'm thinking of last year. Travis Kelce though is gonna probably have a great game against San Francisco as well. Phillip Rivers against the Rams could be a little rough. I think he needs his quarterbacks to play exceptionally well. He needs his wide receiver pickup of Tyler Boyd to be as successful as it was last week. I don't know if that's going to happen either. But if those things happen, he's got a shot. That's just
yeah. I'm going Steve all day long on this. I think it might be time for Pat to start thinking about trading off some pieces if he can't get a win here. 0-3 is basically a death sentence in this league. So. Moving on from Dicka, we'll move on to the Pain Train at the fullbacks. Connor, you're projected to win by 24 points. You've got a 13-point lead. Sam Darnold not doing you any favors. You worried about this one at all? You think you're going to get back on track this week?
I would have felt so much better if I had, played Crowell in that OP spot, but you just can't know that until it happens sometimes, unfortunately. I was hoping for a bit more of Sam Darnold. I was expecting the picks. That's why I picked up the Browns defense, but I
Yeah.
wasn't expecting him to only throw for 169 yards.
Yeah.
That said, I look at Elliott against Seattle. I see Kamara going head to head with Atlanta. It's always a feisty matchup. And even David Johnson going against a Chicago team that just came off of a Monday night game. They're going to be tired. Do I hold a lot of stake in Arizona? Absolutely not. But it's at least better than advertised for right now. You know, and then to have my wide receivers, they seem to be really coming into place. Tyler Lockett's a wild card for me this week. I want to try out. I'm feeling pretty good. I think with Miami's secondary, Jared Cook's going to have to be an option because their secondary is super underrated. So Derek Carr is going to be right back to Jared Cook, hopefully just like he was in Week 1. I'm still very excited about my roster, and I
Yeah.
picked up Bailey, of course.
Yeah. The projection looks a little closer, Alex, if you start a wide receiver in that third wide receiver
Yeah,
spot.
that would definitely up the stakes.
If he has massive games from his quarterbacks, he's got a shot. But I'm going with the chalk pick here. I think fullbacks take it. Uh, Adam in a game he absolutely needs to have against Nate. The projections within 5 points. What do you think here?
I think it's going to come down to the fact that somebody played the waiver wire and somebody didn't. I think Latavius Murray at Buffalo won't be a hindrance to Nate as much as it could have been. And I think he's got some pieces that are going to shine on his roster. I love John Brown. I love Rob Gronkowski. I love even Ito Smith against New Orleans could be interesting. And he's still got Kirk Cousins there. I'm a little hesitant about his Cardinals pickup. I think that's maybe something he should reconsider. But
Yeah,
who
I
am I?
didn't really get that one either. Maybe
Um,
are they playing somebody really bad next week or something? No,
yeah, they were.
Seattle, which is the number one offense in terms of defenses against them. But I like play the short game on this one. Nate.
Yeah,
This one's a toss up. I think Nate's got enough on his team to get the job done though, and advances to 2-1.
I agree.
Petersburg Penguins versus the Broadway Joes. Joe expected to lose this one by 17. Is Joe in a rough spot this week?
If his team comes together like it did the past week, then I think he's got a real shot. I think him having to start Tariq Cohen is just, you know, I hate to bring it up again, Joe, but God, that second round pick, man, come on,
What are you
Tariq
what
Cohen.
what are you doing, Joe? But
But I
Tim's
mean,
got a lot on the other end.
the,
Bears
the
against the Arizona offense, though.
yeah, it looks good for Tim. It does. I will say though, there are some pieces that if Deshaun Jackson continues doing what he did, which it's got to stop sometime. If Todd Gurley is on all cylinders, if Watson and Fuller connect again, if Corey Davis, Corey Davis played Jacksonville, so never mind. I'll forget that statement. But there's some pieces that they could put up some serious points. So I won't exactly count Joe out yet. I think you should reconsider the Titans at Jacksonville, but I guess it could be a low scoring game. And Carlos Hyde already with 24. Yeah, I'm giving it to Tim. You're right.
Yeah. Sorry, Joe. You can complain about it in person. Queef Wellington, Rabbit College Rampage. Man, the Rampage need this one. Are they going to get it, Connor?
Ooh, this would be a storyline if Queef Wellington went 1-2 right now. Unfortunately, your dad has a lot of issues. And the fact that he's starting 2 Detroit players against New England, when you just know that it was like a written contract by Bill Belichick in the offseason that Matt Patricia would have to cry like a little girl after he got done with Detroit this season. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about 2 of those guys starting. And having Wendell Smallwood be the third. I think it's a little bit too many injuries here.
Yeah, they're really starting to pile up. We do have a question that just came in from Tim. He wants to know, should he sit Demaryius Thomas this week? Demaryius Thomas, really, really bad game last week. I think he had 18 yards or something like that on 11 hits, which is just really inefficient. He's got plenty of other options. None of them are healthy. Do you start Josh Gordon? Does he have a big game, or do you just stick with Thomas here? What are you doing, Connor?
I believe that. Ooh, wow, they're all hurt.
Yeah,
I don't think Josh Gordon's playing this week.
or not much anyway.
If Chris Godwin's okay, what's the deal with him? I didn't even know he's hurt. Toe limited. If Goodwin's good to go, I would consider switching that out because I think.
Goodwin or Godwin?
Oh, geez, yeah, Chris Godwin. If he's good to go, I think Pittsburgh's defense is really not showing up, and I think it's going to be a 3 week Fitzmagic show here, and I would consider playing over Demaryius. That said, though, he still had 18 points week one. Baltimore's defense has some injuries to the lineup. You know what? I'm going to say I would play it safe, play your bigger name, play Demaryius Thomas. Doug, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think Tim's projected to win. I think you swing for the base hit instead of swinging for the home run.
Yeah.
I really just think I think the better move here is to
don't overreact. I think he's okay.
Yeah. Don't get cute, as they say. Back to Connor and the Rampage. We were basically saying the injury is just mounting up too much. Yeah, Carlo. Sorry, Carlo versus the Rampage. I think the injuries are just mounting up too much for the old man. And I think Carlo gets a game that he doesn't need as much as the Rampage, but he needs it.
But I mean, he's just lucky that the Giants don't have to play the boys at work every week because another 9 points for Beckham was going to happen otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on, you got the Man Bear Pig versus the Snatchers. Ray's projected.
Another reason I put AJ down in my projections is I just see Ray making AJ, even though he's in college now, feel like a little boy again. And I think Ray is out to prove that he can go 4-0 without Mark Ingram. And right now, I think he just might do it.
Yeah, he's got AJ beat at just about every spot on the field. I think it's Ray all day. And the last matchup we have is this week's game of the week: the Murder Muppets versus the Toad Point Trippers.
Oh, you're saying this is the game of the week?
Well, it's the only matchup between two undefeated teams.
For now.
Well, yeah, obviously for now. What's the breakdown on this one, Connor?
If Patrick Mahomes decides to put up another 40-point game, you're gonna win, Doug. Otherwise, it's Kevin's to lose, in my opinion. But it's a real chance. I won't say it's not. Honestly, it's all about KC. I think you should watch that game intently. And if it doesn't seem to be going well for you, it's going to be a real clear indication. It's basically a lot of depth and a lot of multiple players putting up 15-point games compared to 2 or 3 guys putting up 30 points and 20 points and 25 points,
Yeah.
It's literally that's the name of this game. It's why it's the game of the week, and not just because you're 2-0, but it's kind of like the Spurs playing the Cleveland Cavaliers back when LeBron had nobody. That's what this matchup is today.
Yeah, this is a perfect example. I obviously played the waiver wire a lot, but Kevin has been building this team for years and years, and it's if you're not consistently building your team, you'll have holes like my roster does right now.
I mean, not even that. I wasn't meaning to pick on you that much.
No. I'm just saying, this is the example. Even though I'm actively,
it's like you're Tim Duncan and Ginobili and Tony Parker again. It's like when you lose to my dad, you remember the players year after year. Without Bell this year.
It's like goddamn Antonio Brown got me again. This should be a good one. I think the Toads are getting tripped this week. I think they got no shot. Patrick Mahomes, another 6 touchdowns. Tyreek Hill is going to catch 3 of them. It's going to be ridiculous. Jake Butt's going to get into the end zone.
Dumb little shuffle things, because I don't think those should count, Doug. I'm sorry.
Those things that people have been doing, the catch and toss ones. Yeah, those.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but that's ridiculous.
Yeah, that little toss, that 1-inch toss gets me 4 points plus yards. But yeah, no, great game here. to watch, even if you're not involved in it. I think that will do it for the Week 3 edition of the Ultimate Man's League podcast. If you watched, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Connor, thanks for giving up part of your Friday night to come do this with us. And since I'm 3 hours behind, I'm gonna go enjoy pretty much all of my Friday night. So I will see you guys next week. Connor and I will probably try to get on regular schedule again next week. It was just a little crazy this week. Connor, anything you want to add? Anything you want to add before we close?
Good luck, everybody. Sorry, Doug, but my dad's going to trip you into the ground, and I am going to continue my undefeated but one game season.
Hashtag and one season from Connor. Guys, thanks so much again, and we'll be back at you next week. Until next time, konnichiwa, bitches.